Buddy, and welcome to Friday Apocryphal Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything Friday Apocryphal and podcast, and boy, do we have a show for you today. Today we are covering the Treatise of Shem.
All of the chapters 1 through 12.
Yeah.
And do you know why it's 12?
Is it because of astrology?
It is because of astrology.
Wow. Wowie zowie.
Yowie wowie. Yeah, so we get some astrological stuff today, which we normally don't get. The most we get for astrology usually is look at how bad astrology is. This is just completely taking it in the other direction.
There's not going to be complaints about how bad astrology is?
No, in fact, it's going to be the exact opposite.
What's your sign, Lawrence?
Gemini. What's your sign?
Scorpio.
Oh, I don't know if we're supposed to get along or not. I have no idea.
It's fucking beyond me.
Man.
Chris is also a Scorpio.
Yeah.
But he, I think he takes astrology way more seriously than we do.
Yeah, I think he does.
Definitely.
Yeah, he talks about it all the time.
Yep. The first thing that he asks anyone is, what's your sign?
He doesn't, but I did.
Have you met people like
that? I have, yes.
Yeah.
I was at a friend's place, and they had another friend over, and the first thing this dude asked me is, hey, man, what's your sign? And I'm like, what's my sign?
It's stop, okay? Yeah.
Oh, my, it's fucking ridiculous. Like, why? Why are people like that?
Well, because you have to live your whole life based off of astrology.
It's just the dumbest thing. So
this book, tell us about this astrology book.
All right. Well, it is supposedly written by Shem, the son of Noah.
Which means it isn't.
Right. Definitely not. But it was probably ascribed to him because in the intertestamental period, we've kind of, read a few books that mention how great Shem was, at least even in passing. Like Jubilees has a section on it. Ben Sira had a section on it.
Yeah.
So there was a reason that this text was attributed to Shem.
Also, the table looks so empty.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it looks really empty. But,
you need to bring those books in for the New Testament.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to bring in a whole bunch of books.
You better bring them tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll do that.
If you don't, I'll give you a swirly in that toilet over there.
That toilet is horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah. So, the order here is it's going like counterclockwise, I guess. So it's like not in the exact right order. And then the last two chapters are misplaced, basically. Yeah. Like they switch up the last two. So what?
Well, that's just because the stars were different back then, Lawrence.
Yeah, so different that constellations changed over like what generation. So when the most that we can come up with from the manuscripts that we have is that there was probably an original that was written in the right order. And then you had a scribe who messed it up. Like they either just left out a chapter because they fucked up, or they just blatantly switched the chapters because they fucked up, or maybe they thought different. And then another scribe actually wrote in their copy that the text was that last chapter was misplaced, that it should go beforehand. So in the actual text itself, it says someone copied this over wrong.
Wow.
Which is kind of cool.
Imagine if that were in the Bible.
That'd be pretty useful.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty useful. There is, some evidence of like people trying to correct for mistakes and stuff like that, but they don't tell you that they're correcting for a mistake. So
of course they don't. Why would they?
I mean, they just didn't view it as necessary. They thought they were like, onto something. Sometimes they could correct it properly, and if they got it wrong, then we just have another reading. So either way, The Treatise of Shem is preserved in a 15th century Syriac manuscript, unbound in the John Reynolds University Library of Manchester. The base for the present translation is a critical edition, this is by James H. Charlesworth, by the way. So he was preparing this for the SBL Texts and Translations Pseudepigrapha series.
So I also want to point out that this is from the Old Testament Pseudepigrapha by James H. Charlesworth.
Yeah, it is. And then this section was, this translation and introduction was written by him.
Yep.
So the original language, it was some sort of Semitic language. It's probably not Greek. So it was either Aramaic or Syriac.
Maybe even Ethiopic. It's a Semitic language.
I don't think it's Ethiopic.
Well, probably not.
Yeah.
But, Zar Yaakov was really into the stars.
That's true. That's true. He was. Yeah. He would have really liked this book.
I bet.
So on the dating of this text, it's hard to say, but scholars do have some ideas about it. There are some hints. Now, once we read it, we'll have more of an idea if we think they're stretching or not. But this
because of our vast astrological knowledge.
Not because of our vast astrological knowledge. I mean, is there enough in the text to even point towards a specific date?
Yeah.
So with certainty and precision, you can't really do it all that well. They acknowledge that. Although, it is noted that it is logically justifiable to assume that all the notations are not fictitious but historically based. If this assumption is correct, then the references to the Romans would indicate that the document was composed in the Roman period. A. Mangana speculated that this treatise was composed after the ravaging of Palestine by Vespasian or Hadrian. His suggestion is unlikely. By that time, 69 to 138 CE, peace had been established in the Roman Empire, and the singular most notable feature regarding a date of composition is the pervasive references to wars, usually against the Romans. This concern coincides with the terror of war that characterized the eastern portion of the empire during the first 2/3 of the 1st century BCE, and until Octavian defeated Antony in 31 BCE at Actium. Octavian's own inscriptions and Virgil's writings demonstrate that Octavian was popularly received as the one who put an end to war. The fear of war between Rome and Egypt, quote, and the king of the Romans will not remain in one place. A great war and misery will occur on the earth, and especially in the land of Egypt. That's a quotation from the text. Adequately describes the period when Antony was associated with Alexandria and, quote, married according to Egyptian law to Cleopatra. This passage may also refer obliquely to the suicides of Antony and Cleopatra and merciless acts by Octavian in Alexandria in 30 BCE. So they put it in that period. There are a few more historical clues, I guess. Nothing too exact, but there are a few more historical clues that suggest that period as well, or at least it would fit into that period. But here's some more that I can give you. So where was it probably composed? So probably Egypt or Palestine. Those are the two likely places, but it seems like Egypt is the more likely place, maybe in Alexandria, where there was a very active Jewish community, and a Christian community as well. So that's probably the most likely place. So for the importance of this text, before this, there wasn't much that went towards a astrological book. Like, of course, there was
the astronomical book.
Yeah, there was the astronomical book, right? But a book like this, it didn't really pop up until later. I think the first one that was mentioned, that was thought to be mentioned, was Sefer Yetzirah, I guess.
Yeah, I've read Sefer Yetzirah.
Yeah. So that was, formerly thought to be the first one, but then we found there was a text in the Dead Sea Scrolls that you could describe as astrological. and then this one as well. So it shows that during this period, there was more activity when it came to astrology than was previously thought. So for the theology, you may be wondering, now, how could they write a book like this? Doesn't this go against like all the teachings?
Yeah, the Bible is very explicit.
It is, yeah. In fact, there's a whole bunch of stuff that the Bible is pretty explicit about that the author of the Treatise of Shem just didn't really care about. So they list a whole bunch of stuff here.
What a jerk.
Yeah, right? Oh, my God. In the pseudepigrapha, this biblical perspective is reaffirmed in an anti-astrological context. So in Jubilees as well, it's also noted that all this stuff is bad. So yeah, but then in this book, they always say like, you know, and if the year begins in this zodiac sign, then this other thing will happen, right? So clearly, like, they have some sort of importance on the sign.
Mm-hmm.
So the author of the Treatise of Shem was apparently a Jew. Some Hellenistic Jews considerably compromised ancient traditions as they became accommodated to foreign lands and customs. Diasporic Judaism and even Palestinian Judaism was not guided by an established orthodoxy. The Treatise of Shem significantly improves our perception of the varied nature of intertestamental Judaism. So basically, this is, while the tradition is entirely different, this is another case where you have diaspora Jews kind of combining what they believe with the beliefs of the area, the customs of the area, probably just to have like an easier, less stressful life.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened in the exilic period as well. So that's why you would get something like this. But of course, this one was not taken over well. This one did not, obviously did not make any kind of cut. So now there is, I mean, the rest of this is references. There's some references to Matthew, so it might be important. Maybe we should note this now. So one passage in the New Testament receives new illumination because of the discovery of Jewish interest in astrology prior to Jesus and his followers. Matthew 2:2 mentions that the wise men came to Judea to see a newly born king of the Jews because, quote, we have seen his star in the east. An alternative and better translation is we saw his star as it rose, or we saw his star when it came up in the east. With either translation, and especially with the latter, it is conceivable that the author of this tradition, either Matthew himself or more probably another Jewish Christian before him, was influenced by astrological predictions. So strong were the astrological overtones in this verse, and Matthew 2:9, that some early Christians claimed it proved that astrology may be depended on. Eventually, St. John Chrysostom in the 4th and St. Augustine in the 5th century were forced to direct one or more sermons against an astrological interpretation of Matthew 2:1 through 12.
Oh, no.
And I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
But either way, that's basically it. That's the introduction to the Treatise of Shem.
So put on your astrology hats, everyone, because I'm about to tell you about
the Zodiac.
astrology. Yeah, the Zodiac.
That's the only thing you guys need to know about.
Now, we should also note that this isn't how years work in
Yeah.
the calendar that we use. But in the Jewish calendar, it's different. It's all messed up. It's all over the
All
place.
messed up? Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Rude of you to say that.
So this is the treatise composed by Shem, the son of Noah, concerning the beginning of the year and whatever occurs in it.
I think there should be a note on the word whatever there.
Yeah. According to the author of Jubilees, Shem inherited Palestine when the earth was distributed among the sons of Noah. The land given to Ham is hot, so that Japheth is cold, but that to Shem is neither hot nor cold. According to the book of the bee. What? The book of the bee? We need to read that.
The Book of the Bee. All right.
Yeah. According to the Book of the Bee, chapter 21.
Like it's written like the insect.
Yes. Noah
Okay,
commands Shem to see the sources of the rivers and the seas and the structure of the earth. So
I'm looking this up though, the Book of the Bee, because that's something I've never heard of.
So this word for whatever could also be world or age.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So nothing, not even a dot or a space, distinguishes the title from the body of the text.
All right, here we go. So the Book of the Bee is a historiographic and theological compilation containing numerous biblical stories. It was written around 1222 by Solomon of Aklat, who was bishop of Basra within the Church of the East.
Okay.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Never heard of the Book of the Bee.
Neither have I.
I thought Jerry Seinfeld was the true author of the Book of the Bee. Get it? Because Bee movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, Lawrence. You made a joke.
According to all known laws of aviation.
Yeah. Okay, Lawrence. You made a joke.
Thank you.
Chapter 1. If the year begins in Aries, the year will be lean. Even its four-footed animals will die, and many clouds will neither be visible nor appear. And grain will not reach the necessary height, but its rye will reach good height and will ripen, and the river Nile will overflow at a good rate. And the king of the Romans will not remain in one place, and the stars of heaven will be dispersed as sparks of fire, and the moon will be eclipsed, and the first grain will die, but the last grain will be harvested, and from Passover until the new year, produce will have a blight, and the year will be bad, for a great war and misery will occur on all the earth, and especially in the land of Egypt. And many ships will be wrecked when the sea billows, and oil will be valued in Africa, but wheat will be reduced in value in Damascus and Haran. But in Palestine it will be valued, and in that region there will be various diseases and sickness. Even fighting will occur in it, but it will be allowed to escape from it and be delivered.
So this first, what was it, Aries, right?
Yes, if the year begins in Aries.
Right, so if it begins in Aries, it starts out nice, but then you get war, which leads to economic concerns,
I
obviously.
mean, it doesn't really start out nice.
No, it starts, didn't
It
say that,
said
like,
the year will be lean.
oh, lean, okay, never mind.
Yeah, not keen.
Okay, well, it starts off shitty, and then it gets shittier.
Yeah, there's blight, there's famine, there's fighting, there's war, there's economic turmoil. Wow, what a shitty year.
Yeah, and that's if it, okay, you know what? Let's see.
Also, there will be lunar eclipses if the year begins in Aries. I wonder if Landon would be
Yeah,
able
let's see what Landon would think of that.
Yeah.
So this let's see if these descriptions for years would line up with the same way that astrology works now, in which case it's so vague that it could apply to like most people.
Well, also
Maybe not the
this
eclipse
isn't
part.
how
That's not that
astrology works now. It's totally different. They use the Gregorian calendar.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I mean, like, if we consider like the birthday, quote unquote, of a year to be like in which, yeah, I mean, I guess we wouldn't really be able to tell, right? Because we use it totally differently. But I wonder, even if you were using a different calendar, would this hold up? Like, if we were using the Jewish calendar, like, would this thing hold up, or would it, crumble like astrology does?
It probably would crumble.
Yeah, because you don't really get all those eclipses so often.
Yeah, and these wars, I mean, there's generally war, but over the entire planet, and especially in Egypt, how often is Egypt at war?
Well, it used to be at war a lot more.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah.
Anyways, chapter 2. And if the year begins in Taurus, everyone whose name contains a Beth or a Yod or a Kaf will become ill or be wounded by an iron weapon.
Yeah, how ridiculous is that?
If you have a B or a Y or a K in your name. Is that just first names? What about last names?
Maybe it's whole names.
And what if it's only last names?
What if it's only first names?
What if it's only first names?
What if it's only middle names? What if you don't have a middle name?
Then you're just fucked all year round, no matter what.
I thought those
guess.
nameless people.
Well, I mean, their names, they don't have names, so they don't contain any letters, right?
Their names, they don't have them.
They're right. They don't have them, but they don't contain any letters, so they should be safe, right?
Look, they're either going to be sick or be wounded specifically by an iron weapon.
I just feel like they might cut their finger by accident that year. There, that's how simple that is.
That's a wound.
The wounded.
It counts.
It's an iron weapon.
Yeah.
They're just cutting onions.
Not many. I don't know. When's the last time you had, a kitchen knife made of iron?
I can't remember. I don't think I've ever had that.
No, steel has iron, guys.
Yeah. What if you only use plastic utensils?
That's a good question.
Scrub.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very bad for the environment person.
You could wash
it. Yeah, you put your plastic utensils in the washing machine.
You know what's funny?
Yeah.
My family sometimes does that.
Oh,
gosh,
jeez.
it's really bad for you.
That's horrible, Lawrence. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Well,
and there will be fighting, and a wind will go out from Egypt and will fill the entire earth. And in that year there will be wheat and abundant rains, but the nobles of the land and of the surrounding region will destroy the crops.
Oh, dicks.
Yeah. And the rain of this year will be withheld for 3 months, and afterward produce will be exceedingly expensive for 36 days. And many people will die from diseases of the throat, then leanness will cease, and the first grain will perish in like manner. But the last grain will be harvested, and barley and dried peas will also be harvested, and devils will attack men, but will not harm them in any way.
Wait. They will be attacked but not harmed. So they just rush them, and then they just fall over, and they're like, "Oh my god, what was that?"
I mean, does falling over count as being harmed?
I don't know.
Maybe they just
not in any serious way.
rush them and nothing happens. Yeah, they're spooked.
Yeah, they're spooked.
They're like,
oh no, that was scary.
Oh no, a devil.
Haha, gotcha.
Yeah. And 2 kings will oppose one another, and the large river Nile will rise above its banks.
That's like a very light form of hell.
Yeah.
It's called heck.
Heck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's that meme.
Those who are on a ship in the midst of the sea, or people who are on the sea, will be in severe misery. But at the close of the year, there will be great blessing. I also want to note that all the notes are just textual, basically.
Gotcha.
For the most part. Chapter 3. Ooh, if you're enjoying the stream so far, give us a like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, family, neighbors.
That would be nice. Greatly appreciated.
And if the year begins in Gemini, the moon will be beautiful.
What?
Yeah.
Great.
It's ugly all other
You're
time.
welcome. That was me last time the moon looked good.
Disgusting cosmic object.
Well, yeah, what a disgusting moon.
Yeah. And a north wind will blow and rain will come from it. And everyone whose name has a Ta or a Heth or a Mim will have on his face leprosy or a mark.
Huh. That sucks.
Yeah, so this is not like modern astrology where the year that, the signs that you're born under determine all these aspects about you.
Apparently it's the letters in your name.
It's the letters in your name and what sign the year starts under.
Yeah, that's what determines it. So there's a whole second layer to this.
How all these people got leprosy.
I don't know.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, if someone like believed a text like this, you would have like, maybe their friend has like one of those letters and they get leprosy. They're like, I told you the Treatise of Shem.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
Yeah, that's exactly what would have happened. I don't know. But then on the other hand, you would have their friends that have those letters, but then didn't get leprosy in that year. But to them, it's like one is like evidence for and one is evidence against. Therefore, they cancel out and you're fine believing whatever. But like, that's not how evidence works.
Yeah. And in the beginning of the year, there will be a harsh war, and there will be spring rains, and grain will be good and beautiful, and especially the grain that has been irrigated. And mice will multiply on the earth, and the Romans and the Parthians will make severe wars with each other. And the Romans will proceed by ships on the sea. Then they will cause a war and destroy the Parthians. And evil people will proceed in this world, and they will do evil. But there will be anxiety, and then there will be anxiety and harsh misery. But at the end of the year, there will be prosperity. Even the river Nile will overflow exceedingly.
Wasn't that seen as a bad thing in the first year?
Or
was it
in the first year?
Yeah.
They
About the Nile overflowing?
No. It says the river Nile will overflow at a good rate.
Oh, okay.
In the first one.
Okay.
I guess the Nile overflowing is a good thing.
Well, I mean, inundation, yeah.
They get silt, and it helps, which is a fertilizer-like thing, from the river that they want every year. So a good flood means that they got a good harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how the Nile works.
Yeah. Chapter 4. And if the year begins in Cancer, in the beginning of the year, there will be a sufficiency of produce and people will be healthy. And the Nile will overflow half its usual rate. And Alexandria will be afflicted, and misery from the plague will be in it. And the stars will shine magnificently, for the moon will be eclipsed. And lots of eclipses, huh?
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah. And many ships will be wrecked in the sea.
And remember, it's not like you could get like eclipses fairly commonly, but they wouldn't show up at like the same place all the time. So for these years, first thing we'd have to. This is actually where Landon would be very helpful to track like all the eclipses. Mm-hmm. I think there's a site for that.
Yeah.
Right. That you can track where all the eclipses happen.
There's an equation too, which can
go
beyond the site of that.
I'm sure that it's on there.
But you would also have to know the Hebrew calendar and be able to trace it back to all of those dates.
Yeah. So if you knew the Hebrew calendar and the dates that those things happened, you can actually place the events that they're describing into a historical context.
Well, why don't we do that, Lawrence?
We could try. I don't know the Hebrew calendar. I could learn it.
Yeah, you could. And it's only so many months.
Sure.
It's a calendar. It's not like astrophysics.
That's true.
Now, the eclipses, that's astrophysics. And many ships will be wrecked in the sea. And in the beginning of the year, wheat and barley will be expensive. And winds will increase, then many people will be ill from styes of the eyes and from coughing and vomiting. And wine will be abundant, but bulls and sheep and small cattle will perish. Even dried peas will perish. But oil will compensate for them. Then at the end of the year, the harvest will be wearisome for 9 days, but afterward there will be rain, and great blessing will be in this year.
And that was Cancer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was chapter 4. So I'm going to hand it off to you. And
Great.
You can hand it back to me once you read 4 chapters.
Okay, I suppose I can do that. All right.
Yeah.
That was chapter 4.
So it looks like the main concerns of this author have to do with the Nile, with seafarers.
Yeah.
When there's war and when there isn't.
Yeah, war,
Poverty,
sickness,
droughts,
The moon.
the moon, and economics, mainly doing with wheat,
Yeah. So,
barley.
yeah, this is all it does strike me as very Egyptian.
Yeah,
like
it does.
very,
doesn't it?
very obviously is what it looks like. So it looks like this. Like I think this was probably written in Egypt. Then, like all the stuff about the Nile specifically.
Now, the Nile was very important to Egypt and therefore to trade around the Mediterranean. So I would imagine that the details of the flowing and overflowing of the Nile would be important for the whole region. But they would definitely be more important to the Egyptians.
Absolutely. And I would...
Now, they also mention Alexandria by name.
Yeah, which is right on the Nile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but also that means that Alexandria existed at this time.
Yeah.
Right. So we might be able to interpret this as being written by an Alexandrian Jew.
Yeah, that is what it sounds like. All right, so on to chapter 5 here. And if the year begins in Leo, there will be spring rains. Then the soil will be deprived of the north winds, and grain will be enjoyed. For indeed, the food of men will be good, and wheat and rice and dried peas will be expensive, and wheat must be irrigated, and oil and dates will be expensive, and there will be disease among men.
But aren't dates expensive every year, Lawrence?
No.
No. Not your McDonald's dates.
Yeah, those are the best, aren't they? Don't take your dates to McDonald's.
Definitely take your dates to McDonald's.
And pregnant women and small cattle will die.
Oh.
All right, so hold up. So everything was okay, right?
And then you have pregnant women and small cattle dying.
Yeah, things being expensive. And then you have people, you have men getting diseases, and then you have, pregnant women, small cattle dying. And the king will strive with a king, and the large locusts will come and will not subside, but somewhat gradually they will swirl in circles and shrink back together. And the river Nile will overflow its highest rate, and people will have headaches. Then, at the end of the year, there will be much rain.
Well, that's an interesting year.
At some point during this year, there's a war.
Yeah.
And a lot of illness going on.
A lot of illness. Pregnant women and small cattle dying. The Nile has a huge overflow.
Okay, so literally, and the large locust will come, and it will not decrease, but somewhat little by little they will turn back from circle to circle, and they will shrink one with another. And then Mangana notes a considerable number of locusts will make their appearance, and their number will decrease but slightly. Mangana's desire not to amend. They will turn from one place to another, and they will be gathered together. The Syriac is difficult to translate because of the conflicting verbs, idioms, cryptic style, and lacuna.
What about all the people that don't get headaches? Well, those people don't exist.
No.
I don't get headaches.
People get headaches. And
I don't get headaches.
If the year begins
not
in Leo,
this year. You'll get a headache when the year begins in Leo. It doesn't say that you'll have a headache for the whole year, but you will have a headache that year.
I haven't had one yet.
Listen, that's just Good astrology. I
mean, we could make sure that Chris gets a headache.
Yeah, we could.
Probably give me a concussion first, but
Yeah.
I still haven't had that yet either.
Well,
They'll guarantee a headache.
Enough cinder blocks will make it happen.
It's a waste of good cinder blocks, guys.
It is. It's literally a waste of cinder blocks.
Why are you doing that?
I don't know how good the cinder blocks
Just leave
are.
me out of this.
I suppose the better cinder blocks would be better at giving you a concussion and a headache, right? The shitty ones
said,
would just fall apart.
Yeah,
right?
or I'd just die maybe.
Yeah, you don't want to use any of those shitty cinder blocks.
Oh no, you gotta waste the good ones.
So on to
it wouldn't be a proper sacrifice.
No, right. You're right. You gotta have the good ones. You gotta have the
1 year old.
You gotta have
unblemished cinder blocks.
The absolute best when it comes to your sacrifices. That's what we learned last week. And now to chapter 6.
Yep.
And if the year begins in Virgo, everyone whose name contains Yuds or Semkat and Bet and Nun.
Semkat.
Yeah, that's what it says.
It's a samach.
Samach? Okay, gotcha.
I mean, it's not written that way, but it's probably a samach. So
gotcha.
An S sound.
Okay.
Which I guess would count you, Lawrence.
Oh. All right, let's see what happens to me. Will be diseased and robbed. Oh, shit. Well, boy, am I glad the year doesn't begin in Virgo, maybe.
You better be.
Yeah. And will flee from his home. And this misfortune will occur in the beginning of the year. Okay, well, definitely not then.
Yeah.
And shortage of water will be in every circle. And the first grain will not prosper. And people will suffer many miseries in winter and summer. But the last grain will be harvested, and it will be good. And produce will be expensive in Haran and Bithynia. But at the end of the year, it will be inexpensive. Even wine will be less expensive and pleasant. And dates will be abundant. But oil will be expensive. And wheat and barley will be valued. But dried peas will be reduced in value. And rain will be late and will not fall upon the earth until 30 days before the Passover feast. And the king will strive with the king and will slay him.
Ugh.
Tisk, tisk. And Alexandria will be lost, and the Nile will not overflow well, and many ships will be wrecked. But at the end of the year, there will be a sufficiency about everything.
You know, a lot of ships are getting wrecked. I don't think that being a sailor is a reasonable profession based off of the Treatise of Shem.
No, that you definitely don't want to be that.
Or you know not to sail during that year.
Pretty much every year.
Yeah, so far.
Right. So far.
Most years. A good half the years.
6 out of 12 years.
Yeah.
I take really long breaks between sailing, guys. Like
just being safe here.
You know, can't do it now.
Have you read the Treatise of Shem?
My career is non-viable.
And now on to chapter 7.
I'm also always worried about how well the Nile will overflow.
Yeah, me too. Listen, I had to think about it sometimes in my Egyptian civilization class, how well the Nile was overflowing.
I mean, some years you hear that it's not overflowing well, and it just tears you up inside.
Yeah, right. It's a real shame. And if the year begins in Libra, this is chapter 7.
Okay.
There will be spring rains, and the year will be transformed, and people will be spared from the east wind. Spared from the east wind?
Yeah, apparently that one sucks.
Yeah, we'll spare from the east wind. Perhaps the Okay, so perhaps the verb form should be changed. They will make supplication to the east wind. And fig trees will not produce fruit, but dates and oil will be plentiful. But wine will be expensive, and wheat will be valued greatly, and the locust will appear, and a severe war will occur in Africa, and men will have severe diseases. And in the middle of the year, rain will be held back for 20 days, and cultivated wheat will not ripen well, and all the land will be good. And everyone whose name has a Yud or Bet will be sick, and he will have anxiety and will go into exile from his land. Boy, do I hope that's not how they determined who would be like moving places.
Well, you know, you have this letter in your name, and it's this year, so
Bye.
you gotta go.
Yeah,
man.
right. Like this brings a whole different meaning to its current year.
Yeah.
So it's
Should put this in your role-playing game.
I could do that, yeah.
Yeah, every year is like one of these 12 zodiac signs in order.
That would be
And
interesting.
Boy, your name of your character is really important.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Although I mean, so far there's a good amount of letters that haven't been mentioned yet. So,
Yeah,
and I think
up.
let's see, Yud and Beth have been mentioned multiple times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like those are letters you definitely want to stay away from, just in general.
Yeah.
Cursed letters.
Never put a B or a Y in your name.
No, that's horrible.
Ever.
I don't think I have those in any of my
No.
names. Do you? A B or a Y?
I have a Y, yeah.
Whoa. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, my last name.
I have a B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
Oh,
Where do you think?
Oh, yeah.
fucking. Listen, it's okay. It's okay. He can't spell.
Can't spell. I don't even consider the spelling of that usually, so whatever.
Wait, you have a C in your name?
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
Is that super bad?
No, I don't think
You're
so.
fucked, man.
Like,
I
C's
don't
fine.
think that one's
I
been
don't have a
mentioned
B in
yet.
any of my names, and I don't have a Y in any of my names. So.
You should probably are all right, but we'll check. We'll check for you. All right.
I really
Well-
care for sure.
What?
It would be a cough, which we did have one.
Did we?
With a cough?
Okay. Was
towards-
that like one of the early
toward
ones?
the beginning? Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there was actually.
Oh,
Yep.
and it was good. It was all good.
Nope. They'll become ill or be wounded by an iron weapon. That's you.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
you're the one
that's
who's
the
gonna
whoopie-doo
get
one.
cut.
I accidentally cut my finger. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, it's gonna suck for you.
Feel bad, yeah.
Either way, so yeah, these guys, Yud or a Bet will be
Tetanus.
sick, and yeah, you got a Y. Sucks for you, man. You got a whole lot of bad stuff happening every year.
Jay, you're fucked.
Will be sick, and he will have anxiety, and will go into exile from his land. And wine will be damaged, and adultery will increase, and licentious desire will increase. And the king will stay in one place, and power will leave the land, and the nobles will flee to the sea, and there will be between them in the sea a severe war. And there will be in Galilee a severe earthquake, and robbers will gather in Haran and in Damascus, and the river Nile will overflow at its highest rate.
Wait. Why would anyone ever live in Galilee if there's severe earthquakes on a frequent
12-year
basis?
basis.
Yeah. Like,
That's a good question. I can't answer that.
They've got it down to a science.
Like they have, apparently, according to this author, if the year begins in Libra, Galilee is going to have a severe earthquake.
I mean, surely by this time, the author would realize that the stars aren't just random in the sky. Like they follow a sequence. of motion.
Hey, why are you asking questions?
Of course. Asking questions is bad.
Yes, it is. So yeah, the river Nile will overflow at its highest rate, and a severe plague will occur in Egypt, and it will be in Galilee, as in Beth Bardun. The place. I think Charlesworth puts in the place of mules. People will be troubled because of the lack of rain. So again, it seems like every year has a drought. Pretty much.
There's no sea stuff this year.
Oh yeah, no sea stuff this year.
No, there was going to be a war at sea. Yeah, and the nobles will flee to the sea, and there will be between them in the sea a severe war.
Yeah.
Well, but if you're a sailor, you're not a noble.
You're not going to just randomly have your ship be wrecked.
Right. It isn't constant storms this year.
So the thing about the place of mules, this sentence is problematic. Contrast Mangana, quote, in Egypt there will be a cruel pest, which will be in that is to say mules. Further research on this document should clear up some textual problems. Okay. Apparently there's a textual issue there. So I don't know if it's like a break or something.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, now on to chapter 8.
Yes.
And if the year begins in Scorpio.
Ooh, Scorpio. This is my year. This is Chris's year.
Yeah, this is you guys. Let's see what happens if the year begins in Scorpio.
It'll be awesome.
The north wind will blow in the beginning of the year, and there will be many spring rains. And at the end of the year, everything will be expensive. And
What?
Oh no!
I don't think you guys want that.
What's the connection between these two things?
Listen. I don't know.
It's gonna rain a lot, and then later things are gonna be pricey. Okay, thanks.
Great.
I'm sure there you could draw something like some weird line between them. Wouldn't really be a line. It'd be
one
multiple.
would think that if there's more rain, there's more produce, which means that it would be less expensive.
Yep. Well, okay, how about this? It rains the whole time, and because of that, transport is more difficult, so more expensive.
Ah, yeah. And your umbrellas are more expensive. Supply and demand.
Wow.
Look at that. See, we can bullshit.
And raincoats.
We can bullshit too.
Doormats.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So you get everything being expensive. And rain will diminish until people recite petitions and prayers and beseech with alms the living God. Oh, okay. So that's how that one works. All right. Everything else about this hasn't been anything about God.
No, it's just you need to pray for him in a year that begins in Scorpio in order for the rains not to diminish.
Yeah. So you guys gonna get on that at some point?
No.
Maybe when the year begins in Scorpio.
You don't know.
Yeah, when January 1st is in Scorpio.
Yeah, when that happens. Yep.
It's a long time from now, I think, with predation.
Well,
a very, very long. We won't be around.
No, probably not. No reasonable reason to be around after that.
Well, you guys, apparently people are going to have to pray for the rain not to diminish. And there will be disease among women who are pregnant. And many men, on account of affliction, will migrate from their countries. And wheat and barley will be harvested very little. But dried peas will be harvested, and there will be sufficient wine and oil. And ulcers will develop within the bodies of men, but will not injure them. All right. So they just annoying?
Have ulcers.
Yeah, I guess they just have ulcers.
They don't injure them. It's not a problem.
And the Nile will overflow half of its usual rate, and there will be whispers of hope for small cattle. and everyone.
Wait. How can the Nile even have a usual rate when every year it's like a different thing? It's either good or massive overflowing or half. Like, what does that even mean? Like, it can't have half of its usual rate if
it's always compared to a relative scale.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm sure over lots of years, they have noticed a general trend of where what's it called? Shit, I forget the term in statistics. Well, fine, okay. There's a range in which it can be in, okay, and that would be considered a usual rate. But then I guess this one will be half of its usual rate. So I don't know if they take the mean, median, or the mode, but
okay.
But it's half of that. It's less than it should be by like a substantial amount, I guess. And there will be whispers of hope for small cattle, and everyone whose name has a ta or a yud will become sick.
T or Y.
Yeah, T or Y.
If you're Timothy, you're really fucked.
Yeah. But so they'll become sick, but will recover health.
Oh, well, I guess you're not that fucked.
You'll get sick, but then you'll get better.
Yep.
Wow.
This is why sickness happens, Lawrence.
This is because of the year?
Yeah.
The zodiac sign of the year?
And the letters that are in their name.
Those are two very good reasons as to why sickness happens. I can't think of any other.
This is absurd.
Yes, it is. And everyone born in Scorpio. Wait, hold up. Okay.
Wait, we actually have a thing about people who were born under a certain sign?
Well, in this year, I would guess.
Okay.
So
I'm guessing it would be like in this year.
We'll see.
Like the year has a birthday, basically.
Yeah.
But will recover health, and everyone born in Scorpio will survive his birth, but at the end of the year, he will be killed? Holy shit.
That's a lot of people to die.
I guess Scorpios are rarer than I thought.
Yeah. What?
But, okay, saying that you
Maybe
survive...
it's everyone in this year who is born at the beginning of the year, right? During the first sign of the year. So it's not everyone who's born during the year.
Right, maybe, I guess it would be...
It's everyone...
But at the end of the year, they will be killed.
Yeah. By who?
I don't know.
Well, that's very interesting.
Hold up. There's a
note.
I sure hope it's not just about... Okay, so it's not about the text necessarily. So literally, it says instead of will survive his birth, it says he is alive. According to 8:12, the author believes the zodiac determines not only the characteristics of each year but also the fate of people according to the time of their birth. So an idea featured in the Qumranic text, 4Q cryptic is what it's called now. It used to be called something else, like 4Q 186. But okay, apparently that's not the first time. This is much closer to the idea, like our current idea of astrology.
Much closer.
But
still not.
Yeah. Everyone born in Scorpio will survive his birth, but at the end of the year, he will be killed.
Yeah. Of course that would happen, Lawrence. What, are you not a believer?
That seems like a crazy fucking claim. But either way, that's the end of chapter 8. If you guys are enjoying the stream so far, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share it around with all your friends, family, neighbors, people who are your zodiac sign, people who are not your zodiac sign, people who like astrology for some reason. They should know this exists, and they should know that years also can have a birthday if they use a proper calendar.
Years can have a birthday too.
Yeah, if they have a right calendar.
All right, so chapter 9. And if the year begins in Sagittarius. J. Everyone whose name contains a bet or a pay will have misery and a severe disease. That's a B or a P. And in the beginning of the year, it will increase in severity, and men in many places will be troubled. And in the land of Egypt, there will be sown only very little. And in the middle of the year, there will be much rain, but men will gather produce in the granaries because of the following drought. And grain will not be pleasing. Even at the end of the year, it will not be good. But wine and oil will be considered good. And adultery will increase and small cattle will die.
Nice. For the adultery increasing part, not the cattle dying.
Yeah. Chapter 10.
That was really the whole chapter.
That was the whole chapter.
So the year's just going to just kind of be shitty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the wine and oil will be good.
That is true. And those are important things, as we have learned throughout this text.
Yeah. Chapter 10. And if the year begins in Capricorn. Now, this is important because the year always begins in Capricorn.
So now, now this is relevant to us. Yes. So let's see if every single year
begins in Capricorn.
Let's see if every single year has been this.
Mm-hmm. Everyone whose name contains a cough, it's a K.
Uh-oh.
Or C, depending on how you pronounce it.
Oh, no.
Will become sick
Oh.
and be plundered and wounded with a sword.
Yeah, this happens to me every year.
Yeah. Every year.
Holy shit.
Except that it doesn't.
Chris, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
You've been plundered and wounded with a sword so often. It doesn't even mean anything to you anymore.
You know, the thing is...
Has anyone else been stabbed, like, in the room? I have. Like, really stabbed.
I haven't stabbed in the hand with a pen.
No, I mean like a knife.
That's the closest. No, I haven't been
I've
stabbed
been
with a
stabbed
knife.
with 2 knives, like, reasonably stabbed. One
So
was accidental.
So it's true. It's accurate. 100%.
You know,
wow, Shem, you called it.
The thing is, okay, so no matter what, like, let's say this is only for, like, I mean, this would be only for the Jewish calendar, right?
Yeah.
So, let's say that in order for, one of these things to occur, according to the Jewish calendar, the year would have to start there.
Yeah.
So, you would expect then, no matter, like, even if you don't know it, like, even if you don't know the sign of the year, you would still expect one of these things, like, no matter what year it is,
yeah, but it's
gonna have
specific.
to resemble, right? But it's gonna have to resemble one of these. So if we pick any period of time, like that's a year. If we pick any year, I guess, but it has to be in the Hebrew calendar, which is why I'm making that distinction. So you have to pick any one, but it would have to resemble one of these.
Mm-hmm. And the east wind will rule the year, and everyone should sow early. The last to sow will be unsuccessful. And in the beginning of the year, everything will be expensive. Waves and storms will increase so that they who are on the sea will die. And in the middle of the year, produce will be expensive, and thieves will increase, and governmental officials will be cruel. Oh, that's every year.
Yeah, that one's every year. Maybe this is a...
I'll say the things about sailors later. Those poor sailors, though, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, sailors
are really fucked.
It's just 90% of the time they can't do anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
Even wasps and small reptiles of the earth will increase, and they will harm many people. And many people will move from one place to another because of the existing war. And wars will increase on the earth. Then at the end of the year, rain will diminish. And in some places, grain will be harvested, but in other places, grain will perish. Well, very specific.
Yeah,
wow.
That's not laissez-faire as possible.
Yeah. And there will be a disease in Damascus and in Haran, and there will be a famine among the seacoast, and adultery will increase, and people will recite petitions and prayers and observe a fast and give alms and hope for rain, and irrigated grain will be good. Chapter 11.
Great.
Yeah.
So this is the one that's supposed to be at the end, I think?
Right. So there's chapter 11 and chapter 12.
Yeah, so this is one that's supposed to be at the end, but was misplaced, or like someone just like left it out or something.
Yes. And if the year begins in Pisces, everyone whose name contains a kaf or a mem, that's K or M, will become sick and eventually slain.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people.
But wait.
There's more?
The year will be good.
Oh, not for those guys.
No, not for those guys. But overall, despite everyone with an M or a K in their name
dying.
No,
actually, not even just dying.
They'll be slain.
Yeah, they will be slain.
Well, maybe it'll be good because they're slain.
Oh, okay.
The year will be good, and the grain will be good and healthy, and there will be spring rains, and fishing in the sea will be prosperous, and when the sea billows, ships will be wrecked, and people will become sick, and wine and oil and wheat, each of them shall be pleasing. Then grain will be good. There will be wars and much desolation in cities, and villages will be transferred and displaced from one to another, and robbers will come from Palestine, and many will wage a great war against 3 cities. And the Romans sometimes will be victorious and sometimes easily overcome. And there will be a great disease among men, and there will come forth a black man who seeks the kingdom.
Oh, is there any note on that? Or
There's no note on that. Okay. And
all right.
The house of the kingdom will perish, and the king will seek to understand what men are saying and will lay waste many cities, and no one will be able to stop him, and the fear of God and his mercies will be absent from him. Then at the end of the year, there will be peace and prosperity among men, and love and harmony among all the kings who are on the entire earth. That's
so
it feels like more a specific year, not like this happens every 12 years.
Right.
This feels like a very specific year. Yes.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
And it's all over the place.
Yeah, I don't know who is this some random black guy comes in and gonna take over everything.
He'll try.
I wonder who that's supposed to be, honestly.
Sorry, Jacob.
Yeah, sorry, Jacob. Yeah. That's why this was written.
Yeah.
He commissioned it.
What is this?
I couldn't tell you. The most I can think of was like someone like an invading force from like Nubia or something.
So the document originally ended on this very positive note.
Okay.
The ending of the 12 years, according to the Zodiac, is influenced perhaps by the emphasis of the author's contemporaries. The fast approaching future age would be one of peace and prosperity upon the entire earth. So maybe the guy who wrote this wasn't like laying out rules for every time that this happened, but like the next 12 years from the point of writing.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, final chapter, chapter 12. This section on Aquarius, which of course is before Pisces, nevertheless, because of a mistake, was copied in the following manner.
Yeah, so that's literally right there because a third scribe would have been like, hey, this last scribe fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix that for him.
Yeah. When the year begins in Aquarius, everyone whose name contains a llama or a P, L or P, will become sick or utterly ruined by marauders. And
one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
Okay, I guess we'll see which one gets me first. I mean, I've been sick before, so I guess that one, right?
No, marauders.
Okay, well, let's hope it's marauders.
They'll utterly ruin you.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of the year, rain will increase, and the Nile will overflow its full rate. The whole rate.
As much as it can.
Yep. And Egypt will rule over Palestine. Barley will be harvested, and lambs and sheep will prosper. And the west wind will govern this year. And the king will fight with a king. Kings fight a lot, huh?
They do, yes.
Yeah.
I have heard that happens in history.
Yep.
The past sucks.
And the first grain will prosper, but dried peas will not sprout very much, although they will be harvested, and merchants will seek help from the living God. And that's the end.
Yep. Those are all your... Got a lot of theological issues, a lot of economic issues, political issues.
Yeah, a lot of seafaring issues.
That too, right.
More than the sailor would like to hear about.
Yeah. Half the time you just shouldn't sail.
So that was an interesting little book. Final thoughts on the Treatise of Shem?
It's considering that like I would think that like after this set of 12 years happened, this author came by and like kind of summarized all those years, right? And he's referencing like historical things. So
yeah, which would be why it seems so like. Well, how can he be referencing historical things? Because like a good portion of the population would be dead at that point.
That's true. I don't know about the name thing. That's a good point. Because like okay, so if it wasn't for the name thing, I feel like it'd be pretty easily put into some historical context, right?
Right.
But what the fuck is it with names? Were they just talking about like some important people, or was that like some textual issue? I don't know. Because the names thing is really weird. Like I feel like that. Like there's no way to. Well, first of all, there's no way to actually test that. Right? Or check for it.
You know, what I did find interesting was, I forget which chapter this was in, but there was one of these. Let me just find it really quick.
Overall, I didn't think the book was necessarily like bad, but I mean, I can see why it didn't make the cut. Let's say that. It does like fly in the face of like everything that we.
Okay. Chapter 6. In verse 14, it says, "And Alexandria will be lost."
Mm-hmm.
So, if we are interpreting this as being written by an Alexandrian Jew, then it might be possible to date it as an ex eventu prophecy.
Sure.
Where this was written in the years following Alexandria being lost, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's all you can really get from the text in terms of dating without looking at like the manuscript history, right? Which there aren't many.
Yeah. I think it was just that one that was referenced earlier. It's I think it would be cool to kind of do some more research into that. I'm sure the scholars that were mentioned before have already done that research.
Yeah.
But the name thing is still the weirdest part. That's the part that remains unexplained.
Maybe it's that they had like military conscription that went by like alphabetically, like by name. So like in Vietnam, during the Vietnam War, you would be, signed up for the draft, and they would call you in an alphabetical order.
Okay.
Right. So
certain people with certain letters in certain years would be called in, right?
Right. But like just having a letter in your name somewhere, that's not how that works.
Yeah. And this is the Treatise of Shem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the Old Testament pseudepigrapha by James H. Charlesworth that has the Treatise of Shem in it.
Yeah. And I think I think this one's actually, this specific one, you can find it online, like the PDF. So that was an interesting book overall. The name thing remains unexplained. Like why
it's a secret to everybody.
Yeah. Like why does if you have like a certain letter in your name and it's a certain year, why do you have something happen to you?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
That's most of the text.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of it makes more sense than that part. That part is still, that's like the one part that's like you can't. I don't know. I don't know why that's there. It seems very out of place. Because the rest you could actually like figure out a date for it, but the name thing is just
it's very strange.
Yeah. Either way, not really much I can add to that. I mean, even Charlesworth, he didn't really add much to that.
No.
No.
So what are we reading next?
You know, that's a very well. I mean, next we're reading Matthew.
Yeah,
starting Matthew
on Sunday.
Yeah.
On Sunday we're starting Matthew.
Yeah. But until then, I guess on Friday. Yeah, on Friday.
We could do Ahikar.
Oh yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, Ahikar's in the other book.
Isn't it in the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can probably do Ahikar. Let's see how long that is.
It's not super long. It's broken up into 2 sections, I think.
All right. Well, yeah, I'll find where that is in here.
Yeah, pull it out. Pull it out and wave it around on camera.
Okay, I will. Are you sure you want me to do that?
Yeah. Pull out Ahikar and wave it around on camera. There you go. That's enough.
Okay. I was doing it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't, I mean, it's okay, well the commentary is pretty long on it, but it does have like a lot of historical importance actually, in terms of narratives. But yeah, it's actually kind of short. So
yeah,
we can probably do this one.
Ever looked into the Maseroth?
No, I've not.
No.
The Book of the Bee.
Yeah, the Book of the Bee. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Speaking of the Book of the Bee, you can buy one of our T-shirts that has a bee on it that's going to be pinned. Now you have to find one with a bee on it.
You do, actually. You do have to find one with a bee. Yeah, that one has a bee.
That one has a bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can behold this T-shirt and get one for you.
For when we read the Book of the Bee.
Get one for each of your kids. And, kids grow. So you better buy them in every single size.
They can get real big.
Yeah, they might get huge. They might get small. They might get medium. You don't know. So just buy it for them in advance. Buy them all. You can also win a T-shirt on our monthly T-shirt giveaways for our patrons.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can be on the show. You can be in our patron hangouts. Tons of stuff.
Yeah.
You can get our written video scripts.
That too, yeah. And that's for just $1 a month, written video scripts. How cool is that?
Yeah.
And we also have an Amazon wish list.
Yeah, tons of books on there.
Yeah, and of course we have to restock the table now.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I have a bunch of books at home.
Bring them.
So I will. Don't worry. I definitely can't bring all of them. That'd be far too many to bring.
Mm-hmm.
But I can definitely bring text that we will need throughout the whole thing.
Maseroth is Hebrew for Zodiac. Well, we just looked into it. That was the whole book that we just read.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
It was basically the Zodiac, but in terms of the Hebrew calendar.
Yeah.
And the years have birthdays. Is how it works for them.
And there's a big focus on the Nile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So aside from that, I think all links are in the description. It's free to follow us on Facebook and Twitter.
Yes. And we also have an email address.
Yeah, you could send in your Lawrence diss tracks.
Yep. MilwaukeeAtheist@gmail.com.
Yeah. Either way, that's the show for today. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Interesting episode to say the least. Make sure your name that has as few letters as possible. And until next time,
we will see you on Sunday, and then Friday,
for the
and
New
then
Testament.
Sunday, and then Friday.